Back with the WMAY Morning Newsfeed. I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to hang out, and hopefully you're staying informed about the issues crucial to your liberties, your freedoms, your governments, and so on. Again, we've been talking with a variety of people this morning on various things. One thing we talked with a local teacher about, Cadence Cohen. She was planning on going to work this week, but she's on unpaid leave because she will not submit to regular COVID-19 testing or show her vaccine status, claiming that the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act gives her the right to not be discriminated against because of her health care decisions. And that is something that I think is getting more and more prominence in a little-known law that people didn't really care too much about 2-3 years ago. But the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act is now becoming front and center as people are using this law that's been on the books since 1998 to challenge executive mandates on vaccines and also on having to submit regular testing. Another organization that's raising some concern here about what could happen to the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act is the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, and President Chris Southwood joins us now on the WMAY Morning Newsfeed. Chris, thanks for taking time with us this morning.
Absolutely, Greg, and thank you to WMAY Radio Springfield for having me on this morning. Thank you.
No question about it. So we've been looking at a whole bunch of different headlines for weeks and months. And one headline that popped up was about a dozen, I think it was out of Massachusetts, state police officers resigning because of the mandates that are being handed down, and they're going to go back to their the local police departments. You've got the vaccine mandate that the Biden administration's handing down that could impact employers over 100. You've got the mandate that Governor J.B. Pritzker's handing down, and who knows where that's ultimately going to reach? But it could be for a whole host of different industries. How's law enforcement been impacted so far in Illinois when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines, not just from a state level, but also from a municipal level?
Well, I think there's a lot of anxiety, I guess, towards the forced vaccinations. We're not against the COVID-19 vaccinations in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we're not opposed to those, but we are opposed to our membership and our members being forced to take the vaccine. So it's certainly a concern. I know Chicago Police Department, it is a huge concern there. Many of their officers are saying they're not going to submit to the vaccinations. And, what do you do if you lose a third or a half of your force to this kind of thing? I mean, you're going to lose the streets of Chicago.
Well, and they're already, one number I saw was a 12th Chicago police officer was shot. Shot in the leg this time, but we've had other fatal shootings. What would that mean if you see, not just in Chicago but elsewhere, where there may be some vaccine mandates being handed down on local levels? What does that mean for the possibility of the streets becoming less safe?
Well, I think it's clear and obvious since the House Bill 3653 was passed, and also known as the Safety Act, or known by law enforcement, known by the Illinois FOP as the Anything But Safety Act. Violent crime skyrocketing all across Illinois. Chicago, all our major cities, Peoria, Rockford, Champaign, Urbana. And this would only make it far, far worse. I mean, if you have officers that are leaving because they're not going to submit to a vaccine mandate, that's less officers on the street than there already is, and we're already shorthanded all across the state. So it would definitely have a bad impact on violent crime and the safety of the general public. So hopefully it won't happen. Hopefully this law will stand up, and it'll prevent our members from being forced to the vaccine or the testing.
And let's talk about that law you're referring to, and that's the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act. We're talking with Chris Southwood. He is the president of the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, the state's police union for police officers, sworn officers of the law. And when this first came up several months ago, Chris, people kind of brushed it off. Oh, people are misinterpreting the law. That's not really what it means. And the governor has executive authority, and he can essentially, wipe that all away because we're in an emergency, right? That seems to be kind of the reaction to the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act. But this law has been on the books. It was passed in 1997, went into effect January 1st, 1998. May have had a few tweaks here and there, but, reading clearly from 745 ILCS 70-7, it talks about how it's unlawful for any public-private employer to discriminate against somebody based off of their medical decisions and their right of conscience in medical decisions. How do you interpret that?
Well, I just exactly with what you said. I think initially there were a lot of people coming out and saying this law doesn't apply, but you got to understand those are the folks that were also pushing the mandated vaccines. So they didn't want to throw anything up. It's curious now, though, that, the governor's office, and there does seem to be some desire to maybe change that law in the veto session and make it to where the mandates would be upheld or would be forced upon our membership. So the Illinois Fraternal Order Police will be actively engaged in doing everything we can to stop any changes to the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act, which would put our members directly in line for those mandated vaccines. I think it was originally designed to protect healthcare workers from any repercussions if they refuse to participate in the medical procedures or treatments that they oppose. But there are many legal minds in Illinois who believe the provisions of the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act apply directly to these vaccine mandates. And I know, in fact, many of them are actually claiming that they refer to the Illinois law as one of the best in the nation for protecting the right to be free from the forced vaccine mandates. So,
and it's not just the vaccine mandates, right? I mean, the way the law is written, it kind of spells out that you are not to be forced to undergo any medical procedure or take part in any medical procedure that you have a conscience opposition to. It doesn't explicitly say vaccine, but it also does not say vaccine, right? I mean, the way legislation is written, it does allow for a lot of different things to be included in that. So you're saying that there could be an effort to change the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act for the fall veto session, which is just in a few weeks here in Springfield. Where are you hearing that from? Is that just conversations that maybe lawmakers are broaching with police unions, or where do you have indication that there could be a change to that law?
Well, I mean, we're very active with the General Assembly. We're monitoring almost everything that goes on down there. Certainly, when it comes to the veto session, because of the trailer bills we're trying to get through to make corrections to House Bill 3653. So we know there have been some discussions with the governor's office as far as making changes to the Healthcare Right of Conscience Act. I can assure you there absolutely have been discussions regarding that. And like I said, we're going to be adamantly opposed. And we want General Assembly members to know that if you vote for changes in that, we're going to make sure your constituents are aware that you're voting to support these mandated vaccines or the testing.
Well, it's not just that they're looking to support the mandates, but it looks like those who would want to change this are willing to take away rights that are spelled out in state law.
Thank you, Greg. You're absolutely correct. You said that exactly the way it should have been said. If they're going to make these changes, they would be taking away the rights of our membership to refuse the mandates or the additional testing, which is discriminatory in nature by the law itself. So, yes.
Chris Southwood, Fraternal Order of Police President, greatly appreciate your time. I've got your number now. So as I go about watching what happens at the fall veto session on the ground at the state capitol, I might have to give you a call. Cool?
You give me a call anytime, Greg. I would just like to say real quick,
please,
for anybody that's looking, go to Liberty Counsel. They're a nonprofit that provides legal representation to protect religious liberties. and they have been actively seeking to represent those in Illinois who have been unlawfully denied an exemption from these vaccine mandates. So Liberty Counsel. Counsel.
Appreciate that. Again, Chris Southwood, Fraternal Order of Police President here on the WMAY Morning News Feed. Be safe out there, all right?
Thanks, Greg.
It is the WMAY Morning News Feed. I'm Greg Bishop, and we got to